Hey, what's going on, nation? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. And this is a topic that's come up quite a few times, but I've never really given my true stance on the subject. But recently we had Jeff Cavaliere of Athlean-X make a video called something like 6 Reasons Why You're Not Building Muscle. And in that video he talks about RPE, and he actually calls it really poor excuse. He doesn't believe that it works, and it actually holds you back from training because most people don't even know how hard they should be pushing themselves or how strong they really are. And so if they're coming up with all these calculations to figure out how heavy they should go per set when training, they're more than likely holding themselves back. But Jeff Nippard, on the other hand, he's more into the science side of training. Not that Cavaliere isn't either, and not that I'm not either. I put a lot of scientific studies in my videos too, especially when I get into more complicated things. But in my opinion, Nippard really loves going into the science side of things, and he might overcomplicate his programs by bringing RPE into that and utilizing that method when he does his training and creates his programs, like I just said. So what is RPE? Well, if it's Nippard's video, let's let him explain it in his own words.
But first, just to illustrate what RPE means, here are the last few reps on a set of curls taken to an RPE of 8 on the left, meaning I think I could have done 2 more reps, but terminated the set with 2 reps in the tank. And this is what an RPE of 10 looks like on the right, meaning I couldn't have done another rep with good form, even with a gun to my head. And the purpose of RPE is simply that, to quantify how hard your set was. And just like it's useful to know how many sets to do and how many reps to do, I think it's equally useful to know how hard to push each set.
So with that explanation, Nippard basically is saying that he likes to use RPE because it can help him figure out how hard he should be pushing himself as he goes through the sets in his workout. And then he goes on to list 5 reasons why most people don't like RPE, or what critics like to say about it. And those 5 reasons are as follows: not for beginners, hiding behind science, RPE is for pussies, RPE isn't accurate, and over-information. And now, I'm not going to be going through these line by line, guys. I'm just going to give my overall opinion on RPE and try to make some sense out of why Cavaliere and Nippard disagree with each other. In terms of, is this for beginners? And this is something that Cavaliere talked about a lot in his video, where he says that like beginners can't really, figure out how strong they should be on their sets. They don't know what RPE 7 feels like. They don't know what an RPE 8 feels like. So what might actually happen is that as a beginner, you don't really know your body. You might think that you're lifting, an RPE 8, but you're really doing like an RPE 4, and you could have done more reps and you left too many in the tank.
Rate of perceived exertion, or as I like to say, really poor excuse. Because when it's beginners that like to apply RPE to their training, they're hiding behind the fact that they don't want to go towards their max exertion levels. So they push it an RPE 6 or an RPE 7, which means they're leaving 3 in the tank or 4 in the tank. Likely you are not. Likely you can double that number, right? You're not leaving 3 in the tank, you're probably leaving 5 in the tank.
And then the counter argument to that by Nippard is like, well, you can just teach your clients to know what an RPE 8 feels like, and then over time, they'll learn it, and then they'll be able to apply it to their training. And both sides are really valid points, right? And I think it's more of like a generational thing. And I was talking to Ricky about this before we started the video. Jeff is only a little bit older than me. I'm 36. I think Jeff is like 40, 41 or something like that. He's a little older. You can pull it up on Google if you want, Ricky. We'll get his actual age on there. Do it. So I think it's more of a generational thing. When I was in the gym as a kid, teens, 20s, nobody ever mentioned the word RPE. Like, I didn't even hear that term until I started doing YouTube fitness, and the sciencey side of things started making like a real big impact on the kind of content that was being put out there. My generation, when you go to the gym and you're lifting, if you couldn't lift as heavy as your workout partner or your friends in the gym, they just kind of called you a pussy, like one of the things mentioned in the list by Nippard, RPE is for pussies. They would just call you a pussy and tell you to train harder and then make you do forced repetitions. And that was a big part of my training growing up, right? Like literally not even being able to bench 1 more rep, but having your workout partner or the big guy in the gym who like to train everybody force you to do like 2 or 3 more repetitions, basically grabbing the weight for you. And so that's obviously a more hardcore way of training. And back then, that's kind of like how it was. You go to the gym and you train as hard as you can, and you don't leave until it feels like your arms are going to fall off. And that's actually something that Cavaliere said towards the end of his video, that he has not once in his life gone to the gym with the intention of building muscle and left not feeling like he didn't destroy his body. And I am the same way.
When you're wrapping up your workout, right, and it's all said and done, if you leave feeling refreshed rather than accomplished, you've done it wrong. I have never left the gym with the intent to try to build muscle in that workout feeling refreshed. Not a single time. I leave there feeling that I've given my best effort and I feel like I've accomplished something, but I feel drained.
When I go to the gym, I go in the gym to push myself to the absolute limit so that when I leave, the first thought out of my head is like I just trained legs on Monday for the first time in 3 weeks because I had been doing all my housework. You know, I looked at my workout pattern, I was like, I am not going to be able to walk tomorrow. Little did I know, I still can't walk. It's been like 6 days. You should have saw me. I was walking around Disney Springs like, I'm like, nobody push me. I will fall over, right? Anyways, but that's my mentality too. And so to me, RPE is more of like a new term after I've already kind of figured out my body. Through hardcore training, I've learned to, develop a stronger mind-muscle connection and feel my body out. I know what it feels like to push to my limits and then go beyond that without having to hurt myself just from getting to know my body versus whipping out a pen and paper and writing down how much weight I did per set and everything else. I mean, my generation, if you hit a PI or if you had a really good set, you're going to remember exactly how much weight you lifted, what day of the week it was, what the weather was like outside, what kind of pants the hot girl you've been checking out in the mirrors like every 10 minutes when you're at the gym was wearing. Like, dudes remember how much weight they can lift. And one of the other reasons why RPE doesn't really apply to me is for probably the same exact reason why it does apply to powerlifting. And I know Nippard likes to do a lot of powerlifting. He likes to lift heavy. And that's probably another reason why he enjoys using the RPE scale and then bringing into his muscle building workouts. When you're going to the gym day to day, week to week, I mean, there's all these different variables that are going to affect how strong you are with your sets, right? And obviously, when you're powerlifting and you're muscle building, you're doing two different types of workouts. So when I go to the gym and train, if I didn't get enough sleep the day before, if I didn't eat enough food that week, or even if you're dehydrated, right? Did you guys know that as soon as you feel thirsty, you can already measure a drop in performance? So that amount of weight that you can lift for a solid 8 repetitions for, let's say, an RPE 8, it might change week to week just based on how you feel and how well you've been taking care of your body. So, and when I go to the gym, I just like to go lift as heavy as I possibly can. And if I'm trying to get 8 repetitions and I do my first set and I get 10, then I just increase the weight and I might not even count that as a working set for the workout that I'm doing. I'll just be like, oh, I went too light, set doesn't count, raise the weight and do it again, right? Or the opposite. Maybe, I didn't get enough sleep that week and I went to the gym to bench 225. Normally I get it for like 10 to 12, but I got it for like 6 or 7. And I go, oh, I'm not feeling it today, better lower the weight, and then I restart my working sets. So it's more of like I said, a feeling, a mind-muscle connection type thing versus a scale where you're writing down your numbers. And when it comes to powerlifting though, you have to kind of know what your numbers are, right? Especially if you're preparing to do a competition. When you guys do powerlifting competitions, you don't just show up one day and then you just lift as heavy as you can, right? You shouldn't be able to lift your 1 rep max any given day when you go to the gym and someone's like, hey, how much can you bench? Well, let me show you real quick. It doesn't work like that. You have to work up to it. So for example, if you're like 8 weeks out from a powerlifting meet, it's more of a science of trying to figure out how to get your RPE scales down so that by the time you get to your meet, that day is going to be the day where you are the strongest and can lift the heaviest so you can win the powerlifting meet. So there's 2 different mindsets that go into it, but it doesn't mean that someone like Nippard can't bring that into his regular training if he likes that, right? And that's really what it comes down to. Going to the gym and training as hard as you can really comes down to what motivates you. What is motivating you to go to the gym? For example, for a few months in the beginning of the year, I was doing full body workouts and I was really enjoying it, right? And I was enjoying it because I hadn't been training that hard for a while because all the stuff I was doing around the house. And this was feeling good and helping my body get back into, the workout state it should have been in, right? From training hard. But what I quickly realized after a while is that the amount of volume I could do per body part per day, because you're training everything, full body training, right? It wasn't enough for me to feel how I used to feel when I was training really intensely back in my teens and 20s, because I like to train with a lot of volume, and I like to bring in different types of training techniques like supersets, drop sets, and cheat reps. And if you like to do things like that, RPE might not necessarily really work out for you. For example, for those of you who've tried my Cheat and Recover program, there is a reason why 99.9% of you, I'd say 100%, but I can't, 100% claims. You got to be 100% correct, but 99.9 is pretty good. 99.9% of you saw massive increases in your strength and also stubborn areas in your body. Either they started to grow, they felt bigger, the pump was better, or, like I said, the strength increased within the first month. And why is that? Well, because my Cheat and Recover program heavily relies, yes, on volume, right? But it also relies on doing heavy negatives or slow and controlled eccentrics, right? So let me use bicep curls for an example. If you guys don't know this, in any exercise that you do, you are 40% stronger in the negative. So you will never be able to curl up what you can control on the way down for a set amount of reps. And maybe you don't want to do a full set of cheat reps where you do 8 cheat reps in a row, but if you're training in the gym and you want to start taking your gains to the next level, and you're trying to say curl 95 pounds for 10 repetitions, and you can only get it for 6 reps, you can then use cheat reps to skip the concentric phase and then utilize that 40% extra strength to control the negative to get you to finish out that set. But that doesn't really apply to an RPE scale, right? It's a different type of training. And so for me personally, and I think Athlete X and I are more in the same mindset of this, could be a generational thing, could just be like a training thing. We all know that Jeff doesn't really dabble too much in powerlifting. That's why he probably got in trouble a little bit back with the whole deadlift thing and the fake weight thing, and that's neither here or there, but I don't do a lot of powerlifting either, and that's probably why the RPE scale doesn't really relate to me, the training I do, or when I work with my clients. So at the end of the day, guys, it really just boils down to what's gonna motivate you to go to the gym and train as hard as you possibly can. For Nippard, he really likes the science behind things. He finds these things interesting. So for him to take the time to sit down and write out how much weight he did for 8 repetitions, 7 repetitions, or his 1 rep max, or whatever he did, and then use that information to alter his next workout, that gets him excited. That's what gets him in through the door. Where someone like me, and I know Cavalier feels the same way, I kind of rely on how ugly my face looks when I'm training. And for those of you who've been watching some of the more recent workout videos I've been putting out where I'm in the gym training, giving you guys workout programs, you see a lot of weird and ugly faces. Like, I don't even know how my face contorts like that while I'm training. Like, I can't even make half of those faces. I like do this thing, like my lip goes up. I don't even know. I mean, I can do the eyebrow thing, but when I'm like doing heavy bicep curls, my eyebrow goes up to like there. I don't even know how that happens.
You gotta watch that. It's gonna just get caught in your hair.
That's just...
So it's like the ugly face test. And Jeff actually says that specifically in his video. Like when you go to the gym, if you're not making an ugly face, you're not training hard enough. And I kind of agree with that. My wife is always like, stop making that face. You're gonna get wrinkles on your forehead. I'm like, those are wrinkles that show I train hard in the gym. She's like, well, they make you look old. And I'm like, you know what? Go in the other room. You ain't getting anything for Christmas. Yeah, definitely say that. So it's like, it's whatever gets you through the door and gets you excited about training. So if you get excited writing down your RPE and how much weight you're lifting, do it. If you don't like doing that and you kind of just like going to the gym and smashing it, then pay more attention to different training techniques that you can incorporate into your workouts, like drop sets, supersets, cheat reps, all different kinds of stuff, guys. There are so many different ways to train. To argue about which way is the best at this point, especially with YouTube Fitness being where it's at right now, with so much more science being brought into it, it's kind of ridiculous. There's different styles of training because as people, we're all different. Different things motivate us. You just gotta find what works for you. But if I piqued your interest and you wanna try that Cheat and Recover program, if you think you can handle it, it's intense, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It is one of my most intense programs I've ever created. But if you wanna try it, every single one of you can try it for 7 days free. just by clicking this link. So check that out. Put another video up here. I don't know which one I'm going to put there yet, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. Check that out too. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.